This is one of the darkest chapters in modern history, and yet most people have never heard of it. Indonesia, 1965. A political crisis explodes. Within months, over 500,000 people are dead. Civilians get arrested at night, while others are sleeping. Some vanish, never to return. Bodies are thrown in the rivers. The smell fills the tropical air. For decades, survivors were silenced, too terrified to speak out. The truth was buried under lies. What really happened in Indonesia in 1965, and what does the US have to do with it? To understand, we need to go back to the 1950s, back to a world divided by the Cold War. The Western camp versus the Communist camp. A world where the United States was constantly paranoid. Washington believed in the so-called Domino theory, the idea that if one country in Asia fell to communism, then its neighbors would follow, like a chain of dominoes. Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. But what many people don't know is that there was one domino bigger than the rest. Indonesia. Yes, Indonesia wasn't just any country. It was the fourth most populous nation on the planet, and it had something that terrified the United States. The third largest communist party in the world. Millions of farmers, workers, and students supported it. It was big. It was popular. And then there was someone else that made the Americans a little too nervous. President Sukarno, Indonesia's founding father. Charismatic, bold, and fiercely anti-colonialist. He wasn't a communist per se, but he worked closely with them. Also, he vocally condemned Western imperialism and even made friends with all of America's enemies: China, North Vietnam, Cambodia, and North Korea. And as if it wasn't enough, in 1955, Sukarno even hosted the Bandung Conference, a meeting of newly independent nations opposing Western dominance. Needless to say, Washington saw him as a threat, and with the Communist Party growing stronger, the US feared it was only a matter of time before Indonesia slipped into the Soviet camp. And that was something the US couldn't afford to happen. Indonesia had to be stopped. In 1958, the CIA backed a coup to overthrow Sukarno, but it failed miserably. Sukarno survived and his popularity grew. Clearly, the CIA needed a better strategy. So the Americans came up with a different approach, using Indonesia's military to overthrow Sukarno and the communists all at once. This is when the US started to train thousands of Indonesian officers. They taught them strategy, psychological warfare, and propaganda. And they also gave them weapons and funding. The goal? To build an anti-communist faction within Indonesia, one loyal to America. And one day, when the time came, those officers would be useful to overthrow Sukarno and the communists once and for all. The US would simply watch the scene from the background. The perfect occasion came in 1965. On the night of September 30th, a small group of Indonesians kidnapped and killed 7 top military generals in Jakarta. The group claimed they were stopping a right-wing coup against Sukarno. What really was behind this attack is not clear, but it does not entirely matter. What we know is that this sudden violence was all the CIA wanted, a pretext to justify a complete military takeover in Indonesia. Within hours, the army led by General Suharto stepped in, claiming they would restore order. Suharto was no stranger to the US. He was one of those officials who had been trained by them, and he quickly turned this chaos into an opportunity to seize power. What happened next was a bloodbath. Suharto blamed the killings of the military generals on the Communist Party. Propaganda started to paint the communists as monsters. Stories spread of mass graves prepared by them to kill even more people, and of communist women mutilating bodies and dancing naked over corpses. None of it was true, obviously, but the lies worked. The idea was to make sure Indonesian people started to hate communists. And indeed, hatred spread like wildfire all over the country. The military launched a campaign to cleanse Indonesia from the communist cancer. Villages were encouraged to kill communists themselves. Religious leaders declared them infidels. Suharto even ordered the production of a 3-hour film depicting his version of the events. The goal was clear: destroy the Communist Party by any means necessary. And it worked. Through a series of lies, an entire country descended into an anti-communist madness. Within weeks, Sukarno was pushed aside. The Communist Party was banned. Soldiers arrested people in the middle of the night. Many communists were sent to tropical gulags, and others were silently assassinated. Families were never told their loved ones had been officially executed. Nobody said anything. Everyone was terrified by the disappearances, and nobody knew who they could trust. Civilians were killing people too. They targeted communists, but also students and ethnic Chinese. In Bali, 5% of the population was wiped out, for a total of at least 80,000 people. Not many people know, but the first tourist hotel in Seminyak was built on a killing field. Some say 500,000 people were assassinated in the entire country. Others say 1 million. What we know for sure is that their only guilt was to have supported a political party that was legal until some weeks before. And the US, they didn't just watch this chaos unfold. They encouraged it. American media like Voice of America spread anti-communist propaganda in Indonesia's native language, amplifying the lies. After all, Washington had accomplished its mission. Within weeks, Indonesia flipped from a communist-friendly nation to an obedient Western ally. And not only an obedient Western ally, but one that was open for business too. After taking over, Suharto quickly opened the country to American corporations. Oil, mining, fisheries, you name it. General Electric, American Express, Lockheed Martin, and Freeport all flooded the country, ready to claim their piece of the pie. To this day, the events of 1965 remain a sensitive topic in Indonesia. Some families are still searching for answers. When looking for the bodies of their loved ones, some of them found fields of bones and skulls. The killers were never persecuted, and the US never admitted its involvement. What happened in 1965 remains a trauma that never healed, because it has never been fully processed by the nation itself.
So the question now is, what's the Indonesian government going to do with these findings? So far, the government has completely rejected the existence of the People's Tribunal, and the tribunal also has no legal base, so there will be no legal consequences.
Some years after the mass killings, President Nixon visited Indonesia. He reportedly put his arm around Suharto and said, "You are our boy," a chilling reminder of the costs of the Cold War and of how far a country could go to protect its interests, only to make sure the most important domino in Asia wouldn't fall to communism. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.